National Hockey League. But today it's going to be the scene for truck and tractor pull championships featuring the battle of the monster trucks. And we've got some great action set today, Mike.
So the trucks and the pull-offs are going to be 5 out of 7 of the vehicles that started in this competition. Double Trouble, Wild Child, Dixie Digger, Virginia General, and Barnstormer will all have to do it again.
They'll all attempt to do it again. I don't think you're going to see anyone go out on this second round, though. I think you're going to see them bury down before the end of the track. And I know the man on the sled, John Ellenbaum, has got it in his mind that they're not going to make it out.
Well, Gary Lowry in Double Trouble getting ready to make his try at it. He's got it moving. Question is, can he move it all the way down the track?
That's going to be the mark to beat when we get a measurement on it. And I think that you've seen someone that's going to be right up at the top of this class. That was an excellent hook all the way around for Double Trouble. Well, Gary did a great job, and listen, he's off the hole. He is really on the motor hard. I mean, it's a good hole shot, a lot of tire speed. The motor is working extremely hard. It sounded very good as it went down the track. All the way around, a tremendous job of driving on this truck. Went to the right-hand side of the track, and as we mentioned, there hasn't been anyone over on the right-hand side, so I think it's a good job for Double Trouble.
So Gary Lowry in Double Trouble pulls a distance of 130 feet 3 inches. He sets the mark to beat in this pull-off in the modified truck competition.
This truck, I think, will be the truck to beat in the class. He's really been on a hard-charging pass the 2 or 3 times he's been out recently. I'll tell you what, a new motor in it, a new set of heads, a new injection system, a lot of new pieces on this Chevrolet truck, this 53, but it's a good job, and it's going to be tough when it's over with.
So new, he hasn't even painted the left rear fender yet. He's hooked up to the sled and on his way.
Perotti takes the lead. There's no doubt about that. He'd like to have took the sled out the second time, but the box topped on him, putting a lot of pressure on him and shut him down. A tremendous job. Rolled and nailed the motor. A beautiful pass on Wild Child. Let's watch him as he leaves the sled. Really getting a bite. He goes about 5-6 feet before he just airs the motor up there. You see the tires break loose, start to spin, a lot of dirt coming off of them. The traction's there, the motor is great. It's big horsepower, and Rob Perotti is on his way. He really got his eye on the full pull mark. Again, not going to make it, but you see the box topping out, the box coming up the ramp and putting the weight down on the pan, causing a lot of friction, pulling a lot of weight. Shuts him down on the end. Rob Perotti with Wild Child. Great pull.
For the Wild Child with Rob Perotti at the wheel. Takes it 151 feet 3 3/4 inches down the track to take the lead. And coming up next, the Dixie Digger. He's got a long way to go to try to beat the Wild Child. Hilton Clark from Winchester, Virginia, out of the Blue Ridge Mountains, will be giving it his best. One of 5 trucks in the pull-off modified truck competition.
Well, I really personally think this man has got a good shot. If anyone can beat Rob, it would have to be this Dixie Digger truck. You're looking at 610 cubic inches of Chevrolet motor setting down inside of the engine compartment. Big horsepower, a lot of cubic inches. He went out real easy a while ago, but he's got a good, a good strong mark to try to beat. Rob Perotti laying down that 151 3 3/4 mark. That could be impossible for a lot of pullers, but this guy's got a shot at it. The big cubic inch, I think, is the name of the game here this evening.
I was going to ask you, Mike, is bigger always better and pure horsepower does the job?
Well, generally speaking, yes, but there's certain conditions you get into, certain kind of tracks with the dirt layout. Little horsepower motors will beat the big horsepower motors on a loose track that there's not much traction. You're going to see the little horsepower motors really shine, but you have to have the horsepower here tonight to put one out.
Well, we're going to see if big horsepower does the job as the Dixie Digger gets ready to hook up and go. Got the sled moving and breaks traction. He's pushing hard, but I think he's going to come up a little short of the mark set by Rob Perotti.
He couldn't make it reach this pass. It was a good pass all the way around. It just goes to show that Rob Perotti had the right combination when he went down the track. A beautiful job on his part. The Digger comes back, Dixie Digger, 610 inches. You'd think he could just really knock on the door right behind Rob Perotti. He'll probably end up right there in the second place for a measurement-wise at the current time, but not enough horsepower to get up to that 150 plus.
So the tail of the tape on the Dixie Digger, 143 feet 4 inches. Comes up a little short of first place pull by Rob Perotti. A nice job, nevertheless. And the next man to try to challenge that mark is going to be Loran Dingus from Warrenton, Virginia, driving a 68 Chevrolet called the Virginia General.
Good truck, and this gentleman really knows how to read a track. If anything, his driving abilities is going to help him tremendous amount on this kind of track. He's got the sled set to the far right. The truck is kind of angled. He's going to come across the track a little bit. I think that's going to help him a lot. He's really got a good hook going for him. If he can just keep the momentum up.
Oh, that weight transfer came forward. Smoke pouring out of the engine. Loran Dingus comes up short of a first-place pull, but he sure did it in spectacular style, Mike Galloway.
What I think happened, he probably built quite a bit of heat in the oil on the first pass, and then coming back in this second pass, thinned it down quite a bit. Looks like it probably blew out from underneath the valve covers and got on the headers. It wasn't anything really to be worried about, but it looked a lot worse than it was.
Well, Loran is much more concerned about the measurement than he is about the smoke under the hood. Let's take a look at it again.
Well, he backs into the sled, puts the sled on the right-hand side of the track and kind of angles the truck out of the hole. Truck never straightens up, but the bite is good on it. The horsepower is good. He's doing a real job of driving, but watch it on the end now as you start seeing the smoke come out. And that's just oil coming out on the headers and immediately burning, turning into smoke. It's nothing to really worry about. Didn't cost him a lot of dollars.
There's a red light glowing in the dashboard there.
If that red light will go off at any time, he will immediately kill the motor. That is oil pressure. And when the oil pressure is up wherever it's programmed, be it 30, 50 pounds, whatever, that red light will stay on. But the instant the oil pressure drops, that red light will go off, and that's how the driver knows that he's in trouble. He doesn't have time to look at the gauges, but that red light will tell him that he's got motor problems.
That's kind of backwards from your car and mine. Usually we worry about it when a red light comes on in the dashboard, and here he's going to worry about it if it goes off.
Exactly.
We're here at the Brenburne Arena in the Meadowlands Sports Complex in New Jersey, just across the river from the great city of New York, and a big crowd all the way up into the rafters here at the Brenburne Arena. This is normally the home of the New Jersey Nets in the National Basketball Association and the New Jersey Devils National Hockey League. Here's BARNSTORMER 2.
Mark Martens was really trying his best to put this thing out and make Rob Perotti work for his win today. But what we saw, he staged on the right, went to the left, had to bring the vehicle cross track. I think that's situation right now. The guys are getting a lot better bite out of it. They're pulling the sled theoretically a little bit further doing that, but I think it's the best to their advantage to go across the track because the traction will be so much better.
So for Mark Martens and the BARNSTORMER 2 from St. John's, Michigan, 141 feet, 4.5 inches of dirt digging down the track, and he joins the elite, taking third spot behind Hilton, Clark, and the winner of the modified truck class, Rob Perotti. We're getting ready for the modified tractor competition. 7,200-pound modifieds here at the Brenburne Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Brian Drebber along with Mike Galloway, and our first tractor up is going to be Dirt Slinger 2. 3 blown Aries engines in this tractor from Weldon, Illinois.
Just about as tough comes when you get down to pulling. Bill Lashner, there's Willie, his dad, just to his left.
He almost can't get it stopped. He's going so far and so fast down the track. Bill Lashner just about takes the thing right out of the stadium here, Mike.
Bill Lashner has all the capabilities of pulling this thing from here to Weldon, Illinois, if he could afford the fuel. Gets his helmet off. You know, when you take a run like that, you ride a vehicle the way Bill has just done, you've got to have so much confidence in that gentleman that's operating that sled and that piece of equipment back there. As, you know, each one of these engines are pumping out about 1,500 horsepower. He's got 2 in line that are hooked crank to crank, and then the one up on top with the clutch by itself into a transfer case. So he's putting all 3 of these motors to the ground, and the Dirt Slinger absolutely flew with the sled.
This is a beautiful piece of equipment, and American designers and builders have put together equipment like this, and nobody else can do it. Here's Bill Lashner at the wheel with 3 engines going down the track. He's got the front wheels in the air. Another example of the great power that he's got there, Mike.
Beautiful job. He carries the front end. That balance on it's perfect. But watch him on this end right here. He lets off of it. Pretty rough ride going up the top of it. You know he had to have a little bit of apprehension about what was going to happen down at the end of it. But Bill steps off, and it's considered a full pull, no doubt about that. Talks to his dad, Willie, about the pull itself. We're very glad to have Willie back with us now.
Dirt Slinger 2 puts the mark to beat on the board for the modified tractors. Everybody else has got to get a full pull to match him. Might be a pull-off unless he's the only one.
Well, told Willie there just a moment ago. There's a shot of Willie. He's got a little book that he keeps track of all the pulls and the footages. Willie's been very ill and been in the hospital. He's healed up now and back out on the circuit. He's 72 years young. Would like to say happy birthday to him. He's got a birthday coming up real soon, and he is one of the finest people in this sport.
Hooking up right now is Milt Bergman from Fort Recovery, Ohio in Rambunctious 2 with a pair of Allison aircraft engines to get this one down the track, Mike.
They're stock 1,710 cubic inch Allisons. Milt has a pair of tractors with a pair of Allisons on them. Now, there's 24 exhausts. It's a V12, 2 intakes, 2 exhaust valves per cylinder. Motors were designed in the 30s. They were the winning force in World War II in the airplanes over there, overseas when they fought. They have centrifugal blowers on them. They were used for a number of years and still used some in the unlimited hydroplane racing. Now they've found a home in pulling. Milt Bergman, very, very good with these Allisons. He's built some tremendous combinations. He lives in Fort Recovery, Ohio. He's a farmer in Fort Recovery. He's got the motors running. He's watching the oil pressure real close.
Boy, the eyes tell it all right there. He's really concentrating on this run.
Fired the other motor. You see he's got both the throttles in his right hand.
Rambunctious, I guess, Mike Galloway. He had that tractor all over the place.
Well, the bite was much better than Milt Bergman had ever thought it would be, and the situation was that Milt had all of the weight on the front end that he could spare. And when that happened, he stuck it up in the air. It's just nothing he could do but ride it out. He could not keep the front end down on the ground. It doesn't hurt to get it up a little bit, but anytime you're getting up as high as Milt, he's actually getting on the wheelie bars, which are 2 bars that run down the back of the tractor that was keep it from turning over. But watch the front end of it really lift. When it lifts like that, you know he's getting a great bite off of it. It's loading and unloading the tires. That's where you're getting the rocking of it. All Milt can do just to try to keep it down on the ground. It just won't happen. The weight box catches him. A good run from Milt Bergman, but not enough to put him in the pull-off.
Rambunctious 2, not a full pull. He got 133 feet 10 inches down the track. We'll be back to the Brenburne Arena after this.
Coming up at 6, Hamburg face Klosterneuburg.
Our next competitor backing up to the sled right now is Milt Bergman from Fort Recovery, Ohio again. This time he's driving new and improved Rambunctious. He had a Rambunctious ride on his other tractor, Mike. Let's see how he does with this one.
I think that probably learned all he could off that first ride, but this one's got tremendous amount of horsepower, more horsepower than the other one. This one is fuel injected on alcohol. The back motor is fuel injected. The front motor also fuel injected, but the front motor is turbocharged as well as fuel injected. So he's building a lot of horsepower out of these Allison V12 aircraft engines. And Milt's got the capabilities of putting this thing into a pull-off situation. There's a shot of the turbocharger.
Nope. No question about it. He is out of the stadium. He's got the front wheels up on the wall of Rambunctious 2, a full pull for Milt Bergman.
That's going over the edge, I'd say, as the crowd gives their approval to Milt Bergman with Rambunctious.
Got fire in the hole over here a little bit too as the turbocharger's spitting out a little flames there. Let's take another look here at Milt Bergman as he gets ready to hook and go. He's breaking traction right off the line, Mike.
Goes to show you that he's got a lot of horsepower, because several times during the pull, as of then, he let off of it to get the front end straightened up and bring it around. Here again, he's doing it again, drifting outside. I thought he would back out of it, but he had the momentum. You saw his right hand pull off of the throttle, but the momentum carried him on out and over the wall, and look at the right front tire.
Milt Bergman, new and improved Rambunctious, is going to force a pull-off. He goes all the way down the track. Our next competitor is going to be Gary Mills from FALLSTON, Maryland. He's driving 1 to go. And this has got a T64 General Electric turbine helicopter engine in it, Mike Galloway. A little different look for this modified tractor competition.
Well, Gary's now got it building up, puts the fire to it. They unplug the starter from it, the battery area. Don't make a lot of noise, and they just kind of float around. And actually the reason that being, whoa, look out. I mean, the fire show is on for 1 to go. There's actually no part that hooks the motor to the drive line. That's all done through air and the rotation of the vanes inside of it that's producing the power to that shaft as Gary lights it up again as he backs 1 to go to the sled. He's only got one thing on his mind at this time, and that's putting it out the gate. You notice the weights hanging on the side of it right there. We talked to Gary a little bit about what the weights do and why they have them on the tractor. Gary's ready to go. He's got his fire suit on, helmet in place, and rolls the slack out of the chain. There's one of his good buddies riding on that right fender. Let's see how he works out. He needs a full pull as he showers down on the 64.
More than good enough. Gary Mills gets the front of that sled way past the finish line and lights it up one more time for the crowd, I think, as the flash bulbs are popping. And Gary Mills, too, makes a full pull down the track, apparently. Fires it up on the starting line, Mike Galloway. Let's see how he's doing here.
Well, Gary's got a lot of tire speed, and that's essentially you've got to have it on this kind of a pull. The track, I think, is rutted up a little bit, pulling these guys over to the right-hand side. We've seen a lot of tractors go to the right. Gary's got his tires cut all the way to the left. It's not staying on the ground long enough. He lets off of it coast now, shuts down way before he gets to the wall or the mound of dirt, and that's enough to put him in the pull-off. It's going to be a great one.
Gary Mills has 1 to go in the pull-off to win the modified tractor competition. He's got some tough guys to beat. Nick Conrad wheeling SODBUSTER Plus with 2 blown Chevrolet motors coming out of there. He's from Burlington, Wisconsin. And he's got to get a full pull to get into the competition right now. 3 tractors before him have done it. He's going to try to force a 4-way tie.
Nick Conrad is, by profession, a landscape artist. Does landscape work there in Burlington, Wisconsin. A pair of Chevrolets.
Well, it occurs to me those big tires are going to be doing some landscaping here for what he hopes will be about 160 feet of pulling.
Well, Nick Conrad's got the capabilities of putting a full pull on. He gets as much out of 2 motors as a lot of people do out of 3 motors. And that's a great shot as you take a look at what it's like to be sitting in the stands and watching the action this afternoon. Nick couldn't put it out. He had a lot of horsepower here again. He got a much more of a bite than is suspected out of this track. And it puts Nick into a situation where he will not make the pull-off.
Obviously a little bit disappointed there. Nick Conrad, SODBUSTER Plus, came up a little bit short of a full pull, and you can see that he would certainly have liked to have gone all the way down the track. Take another look at it.
Let's watch him as he rolls the slack out of the chain. Nick Conrad has never been known to baby a motor. I mean, if you've got the horsepower, he wants to use it, immediately. Watch the front end begin to lift on it. The bite is there. Nick's trying to drive it. He wants to stay off of the brakes as much as possible. That hurts the momentum. But down on the end of it, you see the weight box topping out. The friction is building up between the pan and the ground, and it shuts Nick down right there.
SODBUSTER Plus with Nick Conrad at the wheel dragged the sled 152 feet down the track, but came up short of a full pull. Next up, the pull-off in the 7,200-pound modified tractors. Starting off with Dirt Slinger 2, Bill Leichner, new and improved Rambunctious, and the turbine-powered 1 to go are in the pull-offs, the modified tractor competition.
Bill doing a great job. There's a good shot of the tires as he gets ready to hook to the sled. Watch him go to work, raises that left hand in the air and lets it know he's safe.
He's going up on the wall again. Bill Leichner, a full pull. He changed the weight transfer on the sled, didn't phase him a bit. 3 Aries engines cooking all the way down the track.
He had to work for it, though. It wasn't a walk in the park. dirt slinger actually really had to work for that pull.
That's a smile of a confident driver, and a good one too.
Well, you see the dirt that he slung up on the fenders of that vehicle.
Is that why he named it Dirt Slinger too?
Exactly.
Let's take another look.
Front end is up. Look at the frame, the torque from the motors, the bite of the tires, and it's up on a ride. He's all over the track, dragging the sled every way he wants to, but the power is there. He's got good ground speed. Look at the dirt coming off of it. Bill sets it right up on top over the edge and shuts it down. A beautiful job, a double pull for Bill Leischner. Well, there's Jack. Jack is a pit man for Bill Leischner, dirt slinger. Video camera in hand. I think personally that this thing that they're doing right here has helped pulling as much as anything, because used to a driver absolutely had no idea what the vehicle was doing as it went down a track. Now the guys videotape the tractors. As they go down the track, they can see what the tires are doing, the way the frame is acting, the conditions that they're driving under. They will tape each tractor as Milt Bergman gets backed in and ready to go to compare them with their pull. And I think it's a big innovation to pulling.
Is Jack taking pictures of the competition? And if he is, he's going to be focused right now on Milt Bergman with new and improved Rambunctious. Second of 3 tractors in the pull-off, 2 Allison Aircraft V12 engines. And thanks, Dad. Well, we'll see. He's able to get it all the way down the track.
Well, his dad furnished the shop that these tractors were built in there in Ohio. You see the 2 chrome knobs in his right hand. Those are individual throttles for the vehicle. He operates them both with one hand. Notice him moving one up a little bit, engaging the clutch.
Boy, he's grunting for everything he's worth, pouring smoke out of the turbine there, the turbocharger on that front engine. And he was working for every inch of track he could get, and I believe he's going to be a little short of a full pull on that one, but a fine run for Milt Bergman.
Well, Milt did a great job. I think that the turbines, oil loaded, the motor went down and lugged down so much that you're going to see the oil go by the seals. That's where you got to. But see him operating the, over there with his right hand, you're seeing him operate the engines. Let's watch him as he goes down the track. I think this is an interesting shot as we go down the track, and remember, those throttles operate the engines themselves. Now, the one onto the immediate right is the front motor. The one on the left is the rear motor. And you notice that arm is locked straight. Well, Milt is really concentrating on it, wide open down the track. And you see him steering a little bit with his left hand, just kind of keep control of it. Saw how rough it was right there. Doesn't back out of it until it loads him right on the end. Watch him pull it back. There's when the smoke comes out of it. Beautiful job for Milt Bergman. It's not enough to win this thing or even force it into a double pull-off, but it's a good job for Milt Bergman. Take a look at this starting line area when he gets backed up there, and I think you can see it right here. There's quite a hill, and what has happened is that the situation is when you roll the slack out of the chain, the tractors are all sitting in the same place. That's where they've dug the dirt up, but it has left quite a mound of dirt behind him. So what they're actually have to do is pull the sled over this mound of dirt. That picks up a little momentum, and at that time, you got to really be into the motor and get your ground speed going. I think that's what's putting these guys down at the end. A good, sharp driver seeing that right here. He goes over the hill right there. He's downhill from here. Front end is up, and Gary's on his way.
Gary Mills digging for all he's worth. Going to be close. You can see the rear axle of the tractor is at the finish line. I'm not sure from this vantage point if the front of the sled is, and that's what counts. Gary Mills, 1 to go is the name of his vehicle. So the distance for Gary Mills in the jet-powered 1 to go from FALLSTON, Maryland, 160 feet, 10 inches. Came up a little short of a full pull and moved into second place behind Bill Leischner and Dirt Slinger 2. Third place goes to Milt Bergman's new and improved Rambunctious. We'll be back with more right after this.